Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time. And that whenever and wherever you happen to be in this planet of polarity, I hope that you are able to accept and embrace the world of opposition that we live in. Opposition is everything that we do, say, be, everything around us is filled with opposition. And there are ways to look at the opposition that will affect you one way or another, positive or negative, right? So, for example, if you look at the world and you know that you need a job and you think, I don't have any money, I don't have a job, right? It's negative. So, or it feels negative. It's kind of a neutral, it's a situation, it's neutral. And then you could put a spin on it, nobody wants to hire me, that's negative. Or you could put a spin on it that's positive. There's so many jobs available. I'm so excited because one of them out there is mine, right? And opposition is in your every step. You step away from the planet every time your foot lifts up off the ground because the planet's trying to hold you down and you're trying to get back up. Gain up out of bed, that's opposition. You're moving your body up away from the gravity. The gravity itself is an oppositional force. There's so much opposition in this world. And I don't mean opposition in a negative way or necessarily a positive way. It's just, it is what it is, right? This is the way that this world is set up. So we have oppositional stuff constantly. And some of it is super negative. Like I have some friends that have written me lately, and one of my girlfriends said that she was in a car accident. And it's like, what a pain in the ass. You know, she has problems with her ex, who was a narcissist, and she's fine on her own. She's good where she's at. She's an amazing, marvelous person. She's very positive. But she just had to have a meeting with her ex, and it was like, it's like tension. But she got through it. I'm proud of her. She did a good job. In fact, I won some bagels randomly from a lady who was making bagels and doing a bagel giveaway. But since I live in a foreign country from where she was at, I said, hey, send it to my friend. You know, at first I was going, well, maybe send it to my daughter because she could use some bagels, sure. But I thought, no, let's send it to my friend because she deserves it, and she's the one that told me about the bagels in the first place. So there's opposition, and then there's also reward for putting up with the opposition in a positive way, right? And I see that in my life all the time. And sometimes people will be apparently or seemingly oppositional to you, but they're not really purposely being oppositional to you. They're just reacting to the oppositional world around them, and they feel the heat, the pressure, you know, all the things that crush us and make us into diamonds. You know, the opposition is everywhere, but it's what makes us better overall, and it's what helps us with our spiritual lives and moving upward and onward. You know, I mean, spiritual enlightenment is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be awake and aware and enlightened. You know, everyone would be like, ooh, barrel of shiny diamonds, grab it. That's mine now. But people don't, people don't really have any interest in being spiritually enlightened because they don't see the immediate benefits and they feel opposed to it. And so their opposition to spirituality is what keeps them asleep. And that's why they say only 12 to 30% of the population have any interest whatsoever in spirituality. I'm getting ready to teach a class on Udemy. I'm waiting for my microphone, and I got some opposition, and I'm sitting here. I'm not upset. I'm not super worried. I'm like, well, the universe has got a reason for this. But I ordered my microphone. I paid an extra $10 because I didn't want it to be shipped from China and get it in November. I wanted to get it in September, so I ordered it from the United States for $10 more. And oh my gosh, guess what? It's in the shipment. So excited. The shipment should have been here a week ago. But the opposition to me, oh my God. It just cracks up. It cracks me up. It's like, maybe the universe is just testing me, to see my reaction. Maybe my karma got tied up with somebody else's karma. But this is what happened is, this guy who's going once a month to get everybody's stuff that they have mailed to a remote location in Florida. And he just shows up to Fort Lauderdale, gets out of the airport, goes to the hotel, checks in, he goes to the warehouse, air-conditioned warehouse, picks up all the stuff, brings it back to the hotel, and breaks down all the boxes and puts everyone's name on it, puts everything in plastic baggies, while wearing a mask in an air-conditioned hotel room. And he gets everything ready and he puts everything in bins and he seals it all up. And the next day he takes it to the airport and he flies home, and within a week we all get our stuff. It's very cool. It's a very cool service. There's only 2 in this whole country, and his is the best. But he got his own opposition. Here you go. Here you go. You didn't have enough opposition on a silver platter. Here you go. We're going to give you more. Going to give you more. Test your metal, baby. That's what we're going to do, says the universe. And so he's only had this business for a couple years. And wouldn't you know it, the last owner didn't pay their damn taxes for 2017. It's like 3 years ago. And he didn't even own the business then. So now he has to hire a lawyer. Now he's going to Guayaquil. And now he's there in Guayaquil trying to get this mess straightened out. And I get a message today. And I knew this was going on. I talked to him directly. And then he sent out a message to everybody who has a shipment coming. And he's like, so, our stuff is stuck in customs. And we're hoping to get it done by the end of the week. So expect an invoice soon. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. This is crazy. It's crazy. I was like, no. And in the next shipment, what just arrived like 2-3 days ago, right after he got back here. So what I have waiting in Florida is my son's birthday gifts. So I'm hoping, and he already knows his birthday gift, his big one, big-ish one. His big one is an oven. I haven't bought him yet, but I'm going to. But the second big gift is San Francisco sourdough starter. So we can have it with Lactobacillus acidophilus, because the one here has a different bacteria. It has a different flavor. It's good. It's very good gut, fermented food is very good for your gut. And so, and it's good. And it's kind of working out with us, but we're from the Northern Hemisphere. We're used to the Lactobacillus acidophilus. And, San Francisco, and it's just kind of like home, taste of home. So that's where we're from, Gold Country. And I was so excited. I ordered the stuff 10 days in advance before I knew when I knew the shipment will be here. So I literally 10 days before he was going to go to pick up the shipment, I ordered this stuff, and it didn't get here until Friday, which is 15 days later. But my son should have his stuff around his birthday, which is good. It's okay. And he said, even if it doesn't come till the end of October, I'm still fine. And he was telling me for the past 2 weeks, he's definitely going to get away from me. He's going to move out. And I realized that all the opposition he had towards me, it was terrible for 2 weeks, almost every day, yelling and screaming and abusive words and language. And it didn't dawn on me until a couple days ago. Oh my God, my oldest did this to me too. It's because of being so scared of leaving me, of leaving home, of leaving safety, comfort, mom. And so just creating a big, huge problem so that you hate each other makes it so easy to leave. Makes it so easy. And he's also going bald, and he just discovered, it's just gotten worse this past month or two. And he shaved his head, and he's like, you know what? I feel better. I just embraced that part. I'm okay. I'm okay. And now everything's fine between us. It's better than fine, suddenly. Oh, thank God. I was up here praying every day. I was doing my show in my closet. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to make him mad. I don't want to make it mad. Whatever, is it a demon inside my beautiful son? I don't know. But of course not. But that was an opposition for me. But I didn't create it. It was his self-creation because, and I was just, since I'm mom, I'm going to be the opposing force, right? I want my kids both to be happy and healthy, and wherever they want to be, I want them to be happy. No matter what they want to be doing, I want them to be happy. My oldest said, I'm going to go for a quantum physics degree and try to be an astronaut and go on the first mission to Mars. I wasn't too happy about that. And I know she's smart enough. She's been studying quantum mechanics for years as a hobby for fun. Getting into math and everything. I'm like, oh my God, she's so smart. And she just, because of the Black Lives Matter, she just decided, you know what? I have too many friends that really need the way I look at things, the way I argue, the way I need to be a lawyer to help people with immigration, with ICE problems, with, problems with the police. I'm going to be a civil rights lawyer. Oh my God, it made me cry. I named her Alexandria. That means helper and defender of mankind. And so she always got angry at me when she's little. She's like, I'm not going to be a damn lawyer. I'm not going to be a damn lawyer. You named me this so that I would be a damn lawyer. I'm not going to be a damn lawyer. And she'd be so mad. When she's 10, she would scream and yell at me about this. I named you Alexandria because I always wanted you to be intelligent. All the volumes of books, all of the knowledge in the world that was contained in the Alexandria library. That's why I named you that. I didn't name you that so that you would be a lawyer, but if you want to be a lawyer, you would be an excellent one. And I taught her how to cite her sources and how to be very resourceful online, and she became an excellent arguer. And now she's going to be an excellent arguer for money, and I'm so happy about that. So in human rights, she's always been interested in human rights. So I'm happy about that. Well, my son was saying, okay, I'm going to move. I'm going to move, and I'm going to move with Alexandria, and, that's it. I'm going to move. I'm going to go to California. And I'm like, well, why the hell am I in Ecuador? I didn't find love here. I have been telepathing and communicating with my twin flame, who I know has a house in Los Angeles, because he showed me. He showed me being panicked in the fire, just packing a suitcase. He got there and he's like, oh no, I'm the hell out of here. Changing some clothes out and going back over to Europe. He showed me that. I'm like, yeah, okay, Why don't I live in LA? I love LA. Why don't I live in San Francisco? My heart is in San Francisco and will never leave. Once you go and spend any amount of time, even if it's a day in San Francisco, I swear to God, they say this, your heart gets left in San Francisco. It's an amazing place. My heart is in California for sure. Over 2 million acres have burned. 250,000 plus acres burned in 30 freaking minutes right next to my friend Kyle's ranch. My heart is aching for California. I don't want to be there right this minute, but it's something I've been tossing around. And I said, I said to my son, I go, I only have a couple friends here that I haven't seen in months, like a year. I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to stay in Ecuador. I love it here. I wanted to be a citizen, but why? I have a couple really good friends here, but I see them like they became like family in the States. I see them on the holidays. We try to spend Thanksgiving together or, New Year's. New Year's is our jam. We always, like to get high and shoot off fireworks and watch the fireworks from the tallest mountain of the city. And everyone has personal fireworks. So it goes on for hours and it's like tons and tons and tons of fireworks. It's fun. Just get high and watch the fireworks everywhere. It's like our favorite thing, everywhere, the whole city. The smoke, oh my God, it takes until 2 days later for the smoke to clear. It's insane. Oh, and things get set on fire. Oh, I love this city for that. You write a list of all the things you want to let go of and you frickin' set it on fire and it's like, yeah, and you feel so good, It's one of my favorite. It's my jam. And I have my friends and I do that. But I literally only have 3 nights a year that I do anything outside the home, lately in the past, because of 7 months in quarantine, which has totally sucked. Since today, we've had the whole country's open again. We're fine. But there's still cases. So we're still everyone's cautious and wearing a mask and the driving thing. It's they're still going by the license plates. You can only drive 2 or 3 days a week still. If, depending on your license plate, depends on the day you can leave the house and whatever. But, and that's opposition, but I'm okay. I'm embracing all of it. A lot of people are not dealing well with having to wear a mask in public. That's opposition. They can't stand it. They want their face seen in public. They can't stand that. And it's hard to breathe in a mask, but they do have a plastic thing you can buy that will go over your face and under your mask, and it will keep your mask shape away from your mouth and your nose 2 inches so that you can still breathe. If you're a smoker, now they've got masks with zippers in it. If you are deaf, you're not hearing this, but if you are deaf, they've got masks with the little window. A little plastic window so you could see someone, so you can lip read. It's weird. Even though there's opposition, the amazing energy that's coming out of this crazy global pandemic is that so many new masks are being made. There's hilarious masks that are made so that you can feel like you're bringing cheer to the world. There's some really funny ones. There's some really cute ones. I saw one of a woman's face with blowing bubble gum. I thought that was a cute one. I've seen a lot of funny ones that are animal faces. You have a dog and you're licking your own nose, or that you're a cat and you're smiling with human teeth. I saw that was a really weird one. I've seen you have a nose of a horse. There's some really, really funny ones, man. I've seen some really cute masks. And, there's Halloween masks. I got one. I got a couple that should be in my next shipment, hopefully. Unless there's more opposition. My son's got a really kick-ass N95 mask. I bought him. And it's a permanent mask. It's not like a paper one. And it's very high quality. And if this customs thing hadn't happened, he would have had it for his job tomorrow. And I'm just but I've got to embrace the opposition. And when you embrace it, then you neutralize the sting of the things not happening right now because you want it right now. I mean, that's how it is, isn't it? Like, we want it now. If we're Americans, baby, we want it now. You know, if you're a minute late, you're like a whole day late, right? You know, like it's like if you say you meet someone at 12:05 for lunch, and if they don't get there till 12:15, you're kind of pissed at them, aren't you? Like, for the next day or week, or you just feel like you kind of can't trust them anymore. Like, I mean, especially if you're in LA. I mean, you know, I grew up in California, and then later Minnesota, and then, you know, back to California, and I remember what that's like. It's just crazy. You know, you just like, I'm sorry, you were like a minute late. I now don't trust you. And it's like, what the hell, dude? My clock is set at a different, like, okay, whatever. You live in a different time zone. I get it. You're from Inglewood, whatever, different time zone. I mean, it's just, it's what it feels like. But it's what it feels like sometimes, right? But here in Ecuador, I mean, if someone says they're going to be there at 4 o'clock, they might show up at 2:30 or at 3, or they might not show up until 6 o'clock. And it's just like everything has to be accepted, right? So that kind of opposition here, I don't bug about it anymore. Although I get a little irritated when the maids show up at 2:30 and I told them to show up at 3. That kind of bugs me because I'm not done cleaning for the maids. I don't know if you guys have ever hired a maid and had to clean for the maid. My sister used to do this. She'd be like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm cleaning for the maid. And it's like, oh my God. You know, it's like you don't want the maid to touch your dirty clothes on the floor, so you got to get them up and put them in the hamper or start your laundry real quick so she could sweep the floor, mop the floor, whatever, you know, just cleaning for the maid. So I've got that cleaning for the maid thing I got to do, you know. But, and so it's kind of irritating when people show up early for me, but I'm kind of used to, like, a lot of those kind of oppositional things, like the fact that I don't get mail, the fact that I can't really get mail here, and the fact that if I get anything mailed here directly, like from FedEx, it's $150. That's it. It's $150 freaking dollars. Now, it takes forever. And like, also, you have to get used to the idea that if it absolutely, positively has to be there overnight, you pay $150 to get it there overnight, you're still not going to get it for a freaking week, sometimes 2. They just simply do not give a flying fig, right? And it's irritating. It's opposition, but it's irritating. And the last time this happened to me, it cost me $780 because it was a fine. Because I overstayed, because the next available appointment was a year later. I mean, it's like, dude, really? Oh my gosh. I've been here almost 3 years. By the time I do my visa, it'll be 3.5 years. My permanent resident visa. It's crazy. It's like, but I'm already like, do I want to stay here? Do I not? Do I, you know, like, what are my opposing forces? What is going good for me? What isn't going good for me? And it's like, I'm not 100% gelling with the people I thought that I would. And when I see people, I gel with them perfectly. But because I've been in quarantine for 7 months, I feel disjointed. And I feel like a lot of us around the world, we all feel kind of weird and disjointed, like we're not, that's an opposition. And what happens? Self-growth. During all of these oppositions, you embrace the opposition. It gives you things. It gives you gifts. Self-growth, patience. Raises your vibration if you could rise above it, which I have. I mean, I've been living in the 5th dimension since last year. I've been above the fray for a very long time. And it only bothers me, like any kind of opposition only bothers me. Like, I haven't really even gotten super angry about anything except when my son and I are fighting, because that's more personal, you know. And that kind of opposition bugs me, because it's like, I cannot stand it when he's not happy, and I cannot stand it when I'm not happy, and I'm never happy if he's not happy, right? Like, if my kids are okay and they're happy, I'm good. But if they're not happy, I'm just, it's like, I come all kinds of unglued. You know, it's like, you know, mama bear comes out in me. Who hurt you? I'm going to kill him. You know? Not really, but I mean, that's just like that energy. It's like, ah. I remember one time I had just given birth to my son. My little girl was in the back of the van. We had a VW bus, actually the bus, we called. And we were in the bus. My husband went in to grab just like 2 things at the store, and then we were going to leave. And this guy opened up his car door, and it went too far, and he pushed the van, and the bus. He slammed against the side of the bus, and I just went livid. I'm like, that's our $4,000 paint job, right? And these are my children inside, and oh my God! And I just freaked out. I just yelled at him. I just freaked out, and it's like, and then after I calmed down, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's insane. That's not like me at all. I was absolutely livid. I was like screaming. I was sweating, and my face was red, and I was screaming, and it was like super hot. You know, it was an unseasonably warm October, and my husband came back to this guy profusely apologizing to me while simultaneously not watching me breastfeed my baby. And my husband's like, "What did you do?" And the guy's like, I bumped your butt. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to." And she's like screaming like a banshee at me, like, what? And my husband's like, "She just gave birth. That's our newborn son." And he goes, "Oh my God, it's the mother bear thing. My wife did the same thing. She went freaking ballistic anytime anyone would do anything in opposition to and it's hormonal. It's not your personality at that point. It's like a hormonal thing, right?" And so that's like the opposition that I've, it's like, it's like, that's the one that I just can't handle, but it's a hormonal thing. And now my youngest is going to be 18 in a few weeks, and it's like really close. It's like in about a month, like a month and a half. I mean, a month and like a half a week. So less than 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks. It's like, oh my God. And so it's not in opposition as much as at first it was like, I'm going to be all alone, empty nest syndrome. I'm going to be completely, holy man, I have no one to love me in my life. He's leaving. He's going to California. Now he just got a job, so he's going to work at least until he moves to California, or maybe he'll get a job and love it and go, oh my God, now suddenly life is flowing here. The minute I decided to move, now life is flowing. It's kind of crazy, right? But anyway, I'm like, okay, well, I could. I conceivably, I mean, I know people, not really, really well in the Bay Area, but I get along with people in the Bay Area really well. I mean, if I'm there for like an hour, I'm going to have a new friend. I mean, that's always how San Francisco has been for me. I mean, Chico, California, I could go out for 8 hours and sit in a bar and not one person will talk to me. I mean, a nightclub, bar, wine bar, restaurant, and people look at me like I'm the insane one. And it's like, what is wrong with you? But in San Francisco, I mean, I could be there for an hour and walk away with 2 or 3 new friends. It's so awesome of a place. In Los Angeles, I make friends there very easily as well. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to California with you. Maybe I'm going to go I'll try to get a radio job, and I'll work part-time on the radio, and get like an on-air talent kind of position, like what I'm doing here with my podcast, and then keep up with the podcast. I could do both. And my son's like, you can't follow me to California. He's like, that's like stalkery. I'm like, no, it's not. Maybe I'll go to New York. Maybe I'll go to Dallas. Maybe I'll go somewhere else, that's not directly in your city. Or maybe I'll live in San Francisco. You'll be living in Oakland. I mean, come on. I just want to see you on weekends. I want to see you guys on weekends. I want to see you guys at Christmas, I don't really want to spend a Christmas alone. I will if I have to. I've done it before, not very many. Usually I have people. Actually, the Christmases I planned on being alone, I actually ended up not being alone. The Christmases I had planned on staying at home, feeling sorry for myself, and getting very, very drunk while simultaneously watching super sad Christmas movies, Those plans never came through. When I was very young, those were the plans. Maybe 2 years. And it never really happened because I always had friends and everything worked out. And then I was always like, okay, I'm so grateful I have my friends. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if I want to have another Christmas alone. And I don't know what I'm going to do, Maybe I'll call my friends and say, hey, let's have a Christmas. Even if I have a Christmas party 2 days before Christmas, something. But again, here we are with the coronavirus situation, so maybe everyone's going to have Christmas alone this year. Who the hell knows? But everything is an opposing force. But before, like last week, I was thinking, well, God, this really sucks. I don't have a job. My last paycheck is like in a month. Actually, in less than a month. It will be my very last paycheck, and I don't have a job. No extra money. I only have enough savings to get me through Christmas, maybe January, if I eat a lot of rice and beans. And that's it. I'm done. I don't have a job. I'm working towards, I'm applying and I'm working towards my education in TESOL certification so I can teach English for a couple hours in the morning. And if I can't work one day, I'm not going to lose my job. It's just, you sign up for whatever time slots you can work, and they're okay with that. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. All right. I'm working towards something, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm going to be stuck alone in a foreign country without anybody, and I'm going to have nothing. Or barely, next to nothing, and nobody. And that's how I was feeling last week. But that was an opposing force. It is what it is, right? It's neutral. Whether my son leaves or stays, it's neutral because he probably will move out. Eventually anyway, even if he stays here, he's going to probably move downtown, get an apartment closer to work. It makes more sense. Instead of paying $10 a day on a taxi. Makes more sense. It just does. So, so I'm like, okay. And now this week, I'm like, well, I could always move back to the U.S. That's a possibility. There's no reason why I can't contact a headhunter, a recruiter, or an agent, or both, and find a little radio station, even if it's kind of in the boonies somewhere, where I could just be the on-air talent. I could do this. 3 hours a day. I could do this. This is easy. I've been doing it anyway for 530 something episodes for you guys with Metaphysical Soul Speak the podcast. So I could do. So these are the oppositional things. These are the things. So this is my example of it. So suddenly I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this new energy coming in, and I'm feeling alive with the energy. Like, hey, you know what? And I feel my love. I feel him with me, and I know my twin flame is coming. And I also feel people that were not ready to be friends, that wanted to be friends, but kind of put me on hold, are now coming back into my life here in Ecuador. My friend, I went on one date with this guy last year, and I really liked him. And, I thought, well, if my twin flame and I never meet, he's a very viable candidate. He's a great person. And now I realize we're just friends. We're probably not going to be more. Because I'm waiting for my twin, and I feel my twin, and we're telepathing now. So it's different, and I'm like, all right. And now he comes back to my life. He's like, hey, we should be business partners. Oh my God, the best timing ever. So the opposition, when you embrace it, it goes faster. And the opposition could be starting something new that you're just like, it's going to feel weird and tenuous at best for a couple weeks. And you just won't feel like you have a good, strong foothold, because that's what the opposition is, right? But the whole time, you're going to be okay. Everything's going to work out, And I asked God, for the collective, what's the card today? And God said Archangel Gabriel is going to pick it today. I'm like, all right. So Archangel Gabriel, or Gabrielle, Gabby, there's kind of a transcendent energy to Archangel Gabriel, or Gabrielle. She's a he's a he. It kind of goes both ways. Like there's like a transcendent above the gender. It's like a gender neutral angel. she, he, they. I should say they. They sounds best. But anyway, Archangel Gabriel pulled out from the Rebel deck this time. So brace yourself. And this was a collective card. Drop the fucking ego. Then you turn it over and it says, vulnerability is hot as fuck. Drop the fucking ego. Vulnerability is hot as fuck. I love that. I think that's honestly, that is a message that we've been getting, haven't we, for a couple of years now. When people started to be very vulnerable in public, and then it's like, oh man, that's actually pretty cool. When people admit that they have flaws to their personality, or when they admit that they don't like a certain thing about their body, and then they talk about the emotions surrounding it. Like before, it was absolutely terrifying. You know, you eat a bagel once and your stomach sticks out an extra half inch, and oh my God, the whole world, what's wrong with her? Ooh, look at her. You know, I don't know if you guys remember the 80s, but it wasn't pretty. It wasn't too pretty. And now, you know, it's like, yeah, well, you know what? We're all ourselves. Everything's cool. You know, I've seen a lot of shows where people, you know, normally, like, you know, 20 years ago, it's not normal, but 20, 30 years ago, people would be wearing girdles or Spanx or whatever. And you know what? They're not doing that anymore. You know, I've noticed a lot of people are just letting it, if they've got a roll on their back, you know, a little bit of a muffin top, they just let it go. It's like, you know what? So what? I am me. I am myself. I love and accept myself no matter who I am or how I am or what I look like. And if you don't accept me for the stage of life that I'm in right now, then you could have right the hell off, because you know what? That's not on me. Your judgment is on you. And that says a whole lot more about you than what it says about me. You know, and that's kind of been the attitude, and I love that for like a couple years now, and that is sexy. It's hot as fuck. Drop the fucking ego. Vulnerability is hot as fuck. Yeah. Woo! I mean, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the card up on my Instagram, which is @mermaidgirl888. And I'll probably do that within a few hours of putting the show up. I don't know if you guys are doing good or not with the ascension symptoms. We are in a full-on solar stream wind flow right the hell now. And it's been for hours. And when it started, you guys, I started to feel like my throat was swollen, and I've had diarrhea for like 10 days now, which is like, they say that that's a sign of COVID, but the milder version of COVID, but I don't have a fever, right? And I'm like, I know that the other thing is there's an ascension symptom where we're all just purging the hell, like our bodies are purging. And I asked God, hey, please help my body to get to a nicer weight. I want to look good and hot for my guy who I know is going to be coming into my life soon. I know, I just feel it. And he and I talk about it. We telepath all the time. You know, he tells me what he's doing with his life. He tells me about his business stuff, and it's cool. I love it. I'm like, this is neat. I like the telepathing thing. And a lot of you guys have been telling me that you started to now dream about your twin. And a lot of you are starting to telepath. And if you are not yet telepathing with them, it's going to come online soon. Keep asking, keep praying for it. And keep saying, hey, twin, I want to talk to you. Hey, twin flame, hey. You know? And ask. Every night before you go to bed, ask. Ask about your twin. Ask about your twin flame. Who is this? Or ask, who am I going to be in a relationship with? Who is the next person? Show me your face. Show me their face in a dream, so that I will know them when I see them. I mean, I did that. I've done that, and I've been seeing the same guy's face for 4 years. Actually, 5 years. where the hell is he? But no, I've known him for 5 years. I do not like surprises, and I also want to look for the guy. And I've met a couple people that look a little bit like him, and I'm like, okay, it's not who I thought it was, but hey, you look just like him. It's weird. I had a boyfriend that looked just like him for about a year. Well, 6 months. But we were kind of still dating after we broke up, even for 6 months, because we're like, we're still friends. But anyway, some of the opposition, before we get into the space weather news, some of the opposition that I've noticed in the world itself, besides the massive fires, the massive temperature drop, which we talked about all that last week, but in the Antarctica, there are 2 massive glaciers that have been fenced in by other sections of ice sheets, and they have been they're considered the most dangerous glaciers on Earth, because they're now responsible for 5% of the sea levels rising. And when the ice sheets are getting ready to crack open and break, when these glaciers fall into the ocean, it's going to be a disaster, and it's going to be 10 feet of ocean rising instantly, like within 24 hours. 10 feet. So if you live at 10 feet above sea level or less, you probably want to have a backup plan, because you're going to be flooded, and it's just, there's nothing you can do. I mean, unless more ice like freezes somewhere else. But I mean, the Siberian tundra that's always been so frozen is like melting. There's like 9 huge sinkholes, these massive craters that keep growing. And it's crazy. The global warming is absolutely real. As you know, if you have half a brain, you could see it. That's why we're having like lightning strikes without rain, and that's what's causing all the fires in California. 800 of them. And so these are all these oppositional things. And then plus there's, so this Arctic sheet thing, and then what else but in Siberia, this is another weird, it's kind of cool and weird. They've uncovered in this one cave a bunch of animals. Like they found the head of a wolf that's an extinct species of wolf. It was a severed head of a wolf. Like, oh my God. It's like the animals of the day. They're like gangland animals. They're like sending a message to the other animals. And not too far away from this head of a wolf, they found a lion cub. There used to be lions in Siberia. And then there was, they just found a bear, a complete bear intact, even with his nose intact. He was just like flash frozen. And they just uncovered this bear. It was just announced a couple hours ago. Also, they just found an antibody that will completely and totally neutralize the coronavirus. This was just announced 3 hours ago. 100% just gone. It will neutralize SARS-CoV-19. And it's going to be it's going to be fine. So that's the opposite of opposition. We've been in an oppositional mode with this, and now we're going to be fine with it. But it's going to take a while still to develop the vaccine and then give it to people and see what happens. And there's still going to have to be trials. It's still going to take a while, but it's on its way. When you embrace what's going on, the opposition becomes less harsh. And that's how I've been living my life for the past 2 years, just rising above the fray for the most part. It's like, some things happen good, some things happen bad. You don't necessarily attract everything to you. Like things that happen to you that it doesn't really happen to you, but it's happening around you. And things that are like really massively kind of that most people would freak out and frustrate. And if your energy is not really engaged with that, you're just observing it, you did not attract it to you because of who you are. When you see that kind of stuff happen, it's like it's in your energy field because you're strong enough to heal it. So I'm going to say that again. This is another thing that when you have oppositional stuff in your world and in your life, you know, the things that most people will look at and go, well, that's really negative and that's really bad in your life. You must have attracted that to you. Well, the thing is, you don't always attract it to you, especially when you're emotionally above it and you raise your vibration and you're rising above the fray of that thing that's in your energy field. You don't always attract it to you because of you being in that duality and polarity and us versus them, because sometimes when you've risen above and you're in a higher vibrational state and that comes into your energy field, it's not like you attracted it because of who you are. It's you brought it into your energy field because you are a healer and a light worker and you can heal that. I've noticed that the last few things that have happened in my life that just felt like, oh my God, you know, I didn't even really react to it, and I was able to heal it pretty quickly. And the last thing was, it took like 2 weeks to heal. And I was getting like really frustrated with it. It's like I'm on it and on it and on it and on it, energetically working my magic, literally magic in various ways. I mean, I'm like, you know, we've got like the angels, we've got God, we've got, you know, my actual energy, my magic, the healing grid from beneath it. You know, I'm like doing all the, like, I'm just like freaking bending fire and water and air and earth just to, you know, move the energy of this thing. And, you know, and I was just like doubting myself for a few minutes there, but I got it and it's fine now. So not everything that is negative or in serious opposition to you is something that you attracted because you're living in polarity. A lot of these things that you attract into your energy field is because you're strong enough now to heal it and transform it. And you are the light worker that it's coming to so that you can change it, because you're magically gifted that way. Ooh, I'm feeling it, man. I thought I had a fever, you guys. I thought, oh my God, I'm sick. I feel sick. My head feels hot. And I know I'm feeling it. It's that solar stream coming in, that solar wind right now. I am not sick. I took my temperature and I'm 98.5. Thank you very much. I was like, oh my God, you know, but I've been feeling all of this. My body's doing all this weird things that I'm not even upset about, you know, this weird like purging thing. I mean, like I get really bloated, you know, right now because of the solar winds, but like by tomorrow when this is over, then my body will just let go of all the water weight. We pull in extra water weight. Remember, if you're bloated or if your joints are swollen or hurt, that's probably because you're holding on extra water weight right now, because you're pulling in so much energy so rapidly because you're spiritually awake, you're spiritually aware, you're pulling in the energy to your body, but it's coming in so much faster than you can process it. Once you're able to process it and move the energy out, then all of a sudden you'll just drop the water weight like within a couple hours. It's very strange how this has been working, but that's something I've noticed, you know, that my, you know, divine source has told me. So I love that. All right. Spaceweather.com. Let's go there, see what's going on. Solar wind speed coming at us at 367.5 kilometers per second. Oh my God. It's huge. It's huge. There is a proto sunspot from solar cycle 25. I mean, they can measure the you know, positive and negative polarity on it, but it doesn't look like it's going to formulate quick enough to actually be a sunspot on the Earth side facing portion of the sun. So by the time it does develop, if it does, it's going to be on the other side, and we're not going to see it for a few more days as the sun is rotating. But it's not, so they can't really say it's an official sunspot number. It's too small. but it does have polarity, and it is from Sun Cycle 25, which is the new one. And so we have been now 24 days without a sunspot. So we're still at that solar minimum, and because we don't have sunspots, we won't have flares coming our way, although there's an exception to every rule, and the sun itself is a goddamn rebel, and Sol, I call him Sol, S-O-L, Sol decided to shoot off a huge solar flare, not even from a sunspot, and that really shocked the scientists a few weeks back. So anything can happen, but overall, in general, the sun has never shoved stuff our way, giant bursts of plasma from a sun, unless it's from a sunspot, with the one exception of when there's a coronal hole. Now the solar wind flows towards us, and we are right now in the middle of a solar stream. We've been in it for a couple hours now, and it feels like I feel energetically good, and I feel like I'm bathing in the sun, like at the beach, like that energy of that high vibrational frequency of the sun just penetrating your skin and your aura and your chakras and everything, and it's just like, and you feel like, oh, I feel great right now. Now tomorrow I'm not going to be able to move, and I'm going to be in pain, and my skin's going to be red, but right now I feel glorious, and that's the energy I'm feeling from the solar winds coming our way. Okay, so right now the Ulu neutron counts are very high at 10.2% of the international space age average, and the 48-hour change is 0.2% higher than it was in the past day or two. So we are inside that stream of solar wind that's flowing from the narrow southern coronal hole. Noctilucent clouds, we're done with that. We don't have any more. They're still reporting on it in case it happens, but so far, no, it hasn't. Now there's only 3 fireballs reported over the United States today, according to the NASA All-Sky cameras and the All-Sky Fireball Network. So that's pretty cool. Now, if you want to see something really freaking weird, spaceweather.com, guys. Oh my gosh. Green clouds over Sweden. The aurora borealis were so unexpectedly bright that it made all of the actual clouds glow this eerie emerald green. It's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like the Emerald City, that color green. It is absolutely incredible. I'm looking at this, and with the fall leaves, the foliage of the fall leaves, it's so eerie. And I'm seeing a face in the clouds now that I look. I mean, it looks like Halloween, yay, Halloween. It's been feeling like Halloween for weeks now for me, and I think it has for a lot of you energetically, doesn't it? It's like Halloween's coming. We're so excited. Oh my gosh. Witches and pumpkins, Halloween, wop, 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 wop. Everyone is so excited about Halloween this year. And I mean, for like a month or two, I've been really excited about Halloween. And we don't even celebrate it down here. I don't know what that energy is, but everyone is thrilled to the teeth. And if you look at this spaceweather.com, you're going to see this picture. It is so Halloween-y. It's amazing. Like the trees are like fiery orange and like golden, and then the sky is this eerie face made by the clouds in the aurora borealis, and it's emerald green. It is so beautiful. I cannot wait to what will happen tomorrow. Now, yesterday on the 13th, the Schumann resonance was 13 in Italy. Today it's the 14th. The Schumann resonance is 14. I don't know why. On the 11th, it was 11. I'm going to venture a wild guess and say it might have been 12 on the 12th, but I don't know. It's crazy. But according to disclosurenews.it, it is 14 on the 14th. That's it. And Heart Mouth Institute, they're just not really reporting anything. They just can't. They're in the middle of the fire. Let's just send them love and light and rain. Send the rain. Rain on California. My friend is working on it. His friend from New Zealand is working on it. I've been working on it. A lot of us are working on sending the rain to California. Don't send too much rain, because they do also have they are prone to flash floods, as well as mudslides and landslides. So that could also be very devastating. My friend told me that where he lives, he is not inside an evacuation zone, but all around where he is the evacuation zone. So if he leaves his house to get food supplies, they won't allow him back to his land. And he's so irritated. That would be so irritating to me. At the same time, he had ordered some things that should have arrived by UPS a week ago. But because of the evacuation zone, they're just lining up the UPS trucks and locking them and walking away. Probably Ubering back to the UPS headquarters to get another truck to bring. I mean, it's like they're just lined up. They're waiting to deliver, but they can't deliver anything because of all the evacuation zones. So that's part of it. They can't even use airplanes because the smoke and the air quality in California is so bad. So you guys, if you live anywhere near the ash that's raining down, every single day that you breathe that crap in, even for an hour, is like smoking 20 packs of cigarettes a day. That's a whole freaking carton of cigarettes, guys. Don't go outside. Do try to get your hot little hands on an ionizer, a personal ionizer to wear around your neck. That will clear the air around you. It might help, but wear a mask also. My heart is with all of you in California, Washington, and Oregon. Oh my God, God bless Talent, Oregon, one of my favorite little tiny places, tiny towns, and now it's burned to the ground. So many places have burned. Send love and light, lots of rain up and down the Pacific Northwest, and send your love and light around the planet. And don't forget to include yourself in this, because you deserve love and light too. We're all going through a hard time, but we're getting through it in spite of the opposition. The oppositional energy is only going to make us better. It's only going to make us stronger. And we've got this. And I've got you. I'm going to come right back, guys, in a few minutes, right after this message. And when I do, we're going to get back into the Kybalion by 3 Initiates, written in 1912 by the Yogi Publication Society. Well, at least they were the publishers. And we're going to do that right after this message, guys. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Well, I hope you guys are feeling really good. I wanted to mention before we get into the book that if you've been working on yourself, I know I have, if you've been working on your spiritual growth in the past 2 weeks, you have had the benefit of 6 months of spiritual growth in 14 days. That's what September is. That's what August was too. I mean, the acceleration of this year is insane. So give yourself a hug, a good little squeeze, and a pat on the back, because you deserve it if you've worked on yourself. It's been incredible. It's been leaps and bounds for me. So I hope it has for you as well. I wanted to bring that up because we have 2 more weeks left of the month. And if you've kind of forgotten about it, get back on that bandwagon, baby. You got 2 extra weeks to move ahead 6 months in spiritual growth time. This month is a full year worth of spiritual growth. So there we go. All right. Here we go. This is the Kybalion. It was written and published in 1912 by 3 initiates. I think that there's a book way up in another dimension called the Kybalion, because even though this book is called the Kybalion, it's quoting from the book the Kybalion and then explaining the quotes, which is kind of crazy, right? It doesn't really say what the Kybalion is, but the first several times I've tried to read this book, and in years past, every time I try to pick it up, read the first chapter, leave my body, I go and meet the 3 initiates who are wearing such huge robes with hoods on them. The hoods are enormous. I can't see their face. I can only see their hands, part of their hands. And they're pointing to things in the book, silently. First few weeks of me reading this book to you guys, I left my body and I went and saw them. And I'm like, guys, I'm trying to do a show here, I mean, literally, they took about a month before they were not pulling me up through that vortex that this book is. This book is it's a vortex. It'll pull you right through, and you go up there and you talk to them. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, I hope that you guys have a good time with this tonight, and if you get pulled through the vortex, don't be afraid. If you see 3 men in robes and they're very silently pointing at a book and studying a book with a table, like kind of a marble slab. It's kind of like gray and white. It's cool. They're cool. They just want you to know the principles of this book. They're universal laws, actually. So, Hermetic wisdom. Here we go. Where we last left off was at chapter 12. So that's what we're going to read now. We read 10 and 11 last week. So we're at chapter 12, and this is the chapter called Causation. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law, the Kybalion. The great 6th Hermetic principle, the principle of cause and effect, embodies the truth that law pervades the universe, that nothing happens by chance, that chance is merely a term indicating cause existing but not recognized or perceived, that phenomena is continuous without break or exception. Oh man, my allergies have been just bad for days. Oh, okay. All right. I think there's something blooming. Also, the dogs ran in here twice over the weekend. So excuse me for that. All right. The principle of cause and effect underlies all scientific thought, ancient and modern, and was enunciated by the Hermetic teachers in the earliest days. While many and varied disputes between the many schools of thought have since arisen, these disputes have been principally upon the details of the operations of the principle, and still more often upon the meaning of certain words. The underlying principle of cause and effect has been accepted as correct by practically all the thinkers of the world worthy of the name. To think otherwise would be to take the phenomena of the universe from the domain of law and order and to relegate it to the control of the imaginary something which men have called chance. A little consideration will show anyone that there is in reality no such thing as pure chance. Webster defines the word chance as follows: a supposed agent or mode of activity other than a force, law, or purpose, the operation or activity of such agent, the supposed effect of such an agent, a happening, fortuity, causality, etc. But a little consideration will show you that there can be no such agent as chance, in the sense of something outside of law, something outside of cause and effect. How could there be a something acting in the phenomenal universe, independent of the laws, order, and continuity of the latter? Such a something would be entirely independent of the orderly trend of the universe, and therefore superior to it. We can imagine nothing outside of the all being outside of the law, and not only because the all is the law itself. In itself, there is no room in the universe for something outside of and independent of law, capital L-A-W. The existence of such a something would render all natural laws ineffective and would plunge the universe into chaotic disorder and lawlessness. A careful examination will show that what we call chance is merely an expression relating to obscure causes, causes that we cannot perceive, causes that we cannot understand. The word chance is derived from a word meaning to fall, as in the falling of dice. The idea being that the fall of the dice and many other happenings are merely a happening unrelated to any cause. And this is the sense in which the term is generally employed, but when the matter is closely examined, it is seen that there is no chance whatsoever about the fall of the dice. Every time a die falls and displays a certain number, it obeys a law as infallible as that which governs the revolution of the planets around the sun. Back of the fall of the die are causes or chains of causes, running back further than the mind can follow. The position of the die in the box, the amount of muscular energy expended in the throw, the condition of the table, etc., etc. They are all causes, the effect of which may be seen. But back of these seen causes, there are chains of unseen preceding causes, all of which had a bearing upon the number of the die which fell uppermost. Yeah, I'm like thinking, my mind in the background is thinking, yeah, it could be the temperature, it could be the humidity, it could be the angle of the light, or it could be... Are your minds doing that too? The hamster wheel thing of all the things it could be. Ooh, there's laws at work. The law of thermodynamics. I mean, there's the laws of infrared light. The solar wind stream coming down. The magnetic effect and pull of the earth in that very moment. There's like so many causes and effects of what happens when you roll a die. All right, so that's gonna be driving me. That might keep me up tonight, actually. That might excite the hell out of my autism and ADHD tendencies. That's not a good combination. This is like so intense. I can be thinking all night about this. If a die be cast a great number of times, it will be found that the numbers shown will be about equal. That is, there will be an equal number of 1 spot, 2 spot, etc. coming uppermost. Toss a penny into the air and it might come down as heads or tails, but make a sufficient number of tosses and the heads and tails will even about up. Or about even up, it says. So basically it's like 50-50 chance, right? This is the operation of the law of average. But both the average and the single toss come under the law of cause and effect. And if we were able to examine into the preceding causes, it would be clearly seen that it was simply impossible for the die to fall other than it did, under the same circumstances and at the same time. Given the same causes, the same results will follow. There's always a cause and a because to every event. That's clever. There's always a cause and a because, or like because. A cause and a because to every event. Nothing ever happens without a cause, or rather, a chain of causes. Some confusion has arisen in the minds of persons considering this principle, from the fact that they were unable to explain how one thing could cause another thing, that is, be the creator of the second thing. As a matter of fact, no thing ever causes or creates another thing. Cause and effect deals merely with events. An event is that which comes, arrives, or happens as a result or consequent of some preceding event. No event creates another event, but is merely a preceding link in the great orderly chain of events flowing from the creative energy of the all. There is a continuity between all events precedent. I'll read it the other way just in case that's the word. There is a continuity between all events precedent, consequent, and subsequent. There is a relation existing between everything that has gone before and everything that follows. A stone dislodged from a mountainside and crashes through the roof of a cottage in the valley below. At first sight, we regard this as a chance effect, but when we examine the matter, we find a great chain of causes behind it. In the first place, there was the rain which softened the earth, supporting the stone and which allowed it to fall. Then back of that was the influence of the sun and other rains, etc., which gradually disintegrated that piece of rock from the larger piece. Then there were the causes which led to the formation of the mountain and its upheaval by convulsions of nature, and so on ad infinitum. Then we might follow up the causes behind the rain, etc. Then we might consider the existence of the roof. In short, we would soon find ourselves involved in a mesh of cause and effect from which we would soon strive to extricate ourselves. See? Told you. It's possible to stay up all night thinking about this stuff. You want to extricate yourself and just assume that every effect had a cause. Every cause will cause an effect. Just as a man has 2 parents and 4 grandparents and 8 great-grandparents and 16 great-great-grandparents and so on until when, say, 40 generations are calculated, the numbers of ancestors run into many millions. So it is with the number of causes behind even the most trifling event or phenomena, such as the passage of a tiny speck of soot before your eye. It is not an easy matter to trace the bit of soot back to the early period of the world's history when it formed a part of a massive tree trunk, which was afterwards converted into coal, and so on, until as the speck of soot it now passes before your vision on its way to other adventures. And a mighty chain of events, causes and effects brought it to its present condition. And the latter is but one of the chain of events which will go to produce other events hundreds of years from now. One of the series of events arising from the tiny bit of soot was the writing of these lines, which caused the typesetter to perform certain work, and the proofreader to do likewise, and which will arouse certain thoughts in your mind and that of others, which in turn will affect others, and so on and on and on, beyond the ability of man to think further, and all from the passage of a tiny bit of soot, all of which shows the relativity and the association of things, and the further fact that there is no great, there is no small, in the mind that causeth all. Stop to think a moment. If a certain man had not met a certain maid away back in the dim period of the Stone Age, you who are now reading these lines would not now be here. And if perhaps the same couple had failed to meet, we who now write these lines would not now be here. And the very act of writing on our part and the very act of reading on yours will affect not only the respective lives of yourself and others, but will also have a direct or indirect effect upon many other people now living and who will live in the ages to come. Every thought we think, every act we perform, has its direct and indirect results which fit into the great chain of cause and effect. We do not wish to enter into a consideration of free will or determination in this work for various reasons. Among the many reasons is a principal one that neither side of the controversy is entirely right. In fact, both sides are partially right. According to the Hermetic teachings, the principle of polarity shows that there are but half-truths, which are the opposing poles of truth. The teachings are that a man may be both free and yet bound by necessity, depending upon the meaning of the terms and the height of truth from which the matter is examined. The ancient writers express the matter thus: the further the creation is from the center, the more it is bound. The nearer the center it reaches, the nearer free it is. The nearer free is it. Dyslexia strikes again. The majority of people are more or less the slaves of heredity, the slaves of heredity, environment, etc., and manifest very little freedom. They are swayed by opinions, customs, and thoughts of the outside world, and also by their emotions, feelings, moods, etc. They manifest no mastery or worthy of the name. They indignantly repudiate this assertion, saying, "Why, I certainly am free to act and do as I please. I just do what I want to do." But they fail to explain whence arise the want to and as I please. What makes them want to do one thing in preference to another? What makes them please to do this and not do that? Is there no because to their pleasing and wanting? The master can change these pleases and wants into others at the opposite end of the mental pole. He is able to will instead of to will because some feeling, mood, emotion, or environmental suggestion arouses a tendency or desire within him so to do. The majority of people are carried along like the falling stone, obedient to environment, outside influences, and internal moods, desires, etc., not to speak of the desires and wills of others stronger than themselves. Heredity, environment, and suggestion, carrying them along without resistance on their part, or the exercise of the will. Moved like the pawns on the checkerboard of life, they play their parts and are laid aside after the game is over. But the masters, knowing the rules of the game, rise above the plane of material life and, placing themselves in touch with the higher powers of their nature, dominate their own moods, characters, qualities, and polarity, as well as the environment surrounding them, and thus become movers in the game. Instead of pawn causes, instead of effects, the masters do not escape the causation of the higher planes, but fall in with the higher laws, and thus master circumstances on the lower plane. They thus form a conscious part of the law, instead of being mere blind instruments. While they serve on the higher planes, they rule on the material plane. But on higher and on lower, the law is always in operation. There is no such thing as chance. The blind goddess who has been abolished by reason. We are able to see now with eyes made clear by knowledge that everything is governed by universal law, that the infinite number of laws are but manifestations of the one great law, the law which is the all. It is true indeed that not a sparrow drops unnoticed by the mind of the all, that even the hairs on our head are numbered. As the scriptures have said, there is nothing outside of law, nothing that happens contrary to it. And yet, do not make the mistake of supposing that man is but a blind automaton. Far from that. The Hermetic teachings are that man may use law to overcome laws, and that the higher will always prevail against the lower until at last he has reached the stage in which he seeks refuge in the law itself and laughs the phenomenal laws to scorn. Are you able to grasp the inner meaning of this? All right, it's like deep, man. Okay, let's see where we're at. We have the law of gender. We're going to see. Yeah, okay, we could get through this. All right, here we go. Here we go. Chapter 13. Gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The Kybalion. Does that go against what you've heard before? I always felt that gender manifested on all planes, but there are those that say that the world of duality is the only place where there's gender, and I don't think that's true. I mean, they just said it's not, but I didn't think that was true, for real. I mean, I remember being in heaven, and I remember feeling like a woman in heaven, and yet I've manifested as a man mostly on this planet, except now in this life. And I've been a woman too a few times, but I think I don't know, maybe I've been a woman mostly, but I identify my gender differently than my physical body, like many of you. So I'm thinking about this. You know, I'm very masculine sometimes. I'm very feminine sometimes. Mostly I'm balanced. I've taken a gender test. What gender are you? And I'm always like exactly like 50-50. It's insane. It's always the same. I guess I'm gender, I don't know, anomaly. But gender exists or manifests on all planes. So gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The Kybalion. Interesting. All right, let's get into this chapter. And this will be the last one for the night. Okay. The great seventh Hermetic principle, the principle of gender, embodies the truth that there is gender manifested in everything, that the masculine and feminine principles are ever present and active in all phases of phenomena, on each and every plane of life. At this point, we think it well to call your attention to the fact that gender, in its Hermetic sense, and sex, in the ordinarily accepted use of the term, are not the same. How many are you putting your fist in the air going, woo? Okay, because I just did that. I love when metaphysics and gender politics manifest in agreement with each other. I mean, it's something that it just should have been known this whole time, right? But it's like, how could we have forgotten this? In 1912, this was published. And it was known before that. All right, here we go. The word gender is derived from the Latin root meaning to beget, to procreate, to generate, to create, to produce. A moment's consideration will show you that the word has a much broader and more general meaning than the term sex, the latter referring to the physical distinctions between male and female living things. Sex is merely a manifestation of gender on a certain plane of the great physical plane, the plane of organic life. We wish to impress this distinction upon your minds, for the reason that certain writers who have acquired a smattering of the Hermetic philosophy have sought to identify this seventh Hermetic principle with wild and fanciful and often reprehensible theories and teachings regarding sex. The office of gender is solely that of creating, producing, generating, etc., and its manifestations are visible on every plane of phenomena. It is somewhat difficult to produce proofs of this along scientific lines, for the reason that science has not as yet recognized this principle as of universal application. But still, some proofs are forthcoming from scientific sources. In the first place, we find the distinct manifestation of the principle of gender among the corpuscles, ions, or electrons, which constitute the basis of matter, as science now knows the latter, and which, by forming certain combinations, form the atom, which until lately was regarded as final and indivisible. The latest word of science is that the atom is composed of a multitude of corpuscles, electrons, or ions, the various names being applied by differing authorities, revolving around each other and vibrating at a high degree and intensity. But the accompanying statement is made that the formation of the atom is really due to the clustering of negative corpuscles around a positive one. The positive corpuscles seeming to exert a certain influence upon the negative corpuscles, causing the latter to assume certain combinations and thus create or generate an atom. This is in line with the most ancient Hermetic teachings, which have always identified the masculine principle of gender with the positive and the feminine with the negative poles of electricity, or so-called. Now, a word at this point regarding this identification. The public mind has formed an entirely erroneous impression regarding the qualities of the so-called negative pole of electrified or magnetized matter. The terms positive and negative are very wrongly applied to this phenomena by science. The word positive means something real and strong, as compared with the negative unreality or weakness. Nothing is further from the real facts of electrical phenomena. The so-called negative pole of the battery is really the pole in and by which the generation or production of new forms and energies is manifested. There's nothing negative about it. The best scientific authorities now use the word cathode in place of negative, the word cathode coming from the Greek root meaning descent, the path of generation, etc. From the cathode pole emerged the swarm of electrons or corpuscles. From the same pole emerged these wonderful rays, which have revolutionized scientific conceptions during the past decade. The cathode pole is the mother of all of the strange phenomenon which have rendered useless the old textbooks, and which have caused many long accepted theories to be relegated to the scrap pile of scientific speculation. The cathode or negative pole is the mother principle of electrical phenomena and of the finest forms of matter as yet known to science. So, you see, we are justified in refusing to use the term negative in our consideration of the subject, and in insisting upon substituting the word feminine for this old term. The facts of the case bear us out in this, without taking the Hermetic teachings into consideration. And so we shall use the word feminine in the place of negative in speaking of that pole of activity. The latest scientific teachings are that the creative corpuscles or electrons are feminine. Science say they are composed of negative electricity. We say they are composed of feminine energy. A feminine corpuscle becomes detached from, or rather leaves, a masculine corpuscle and starts on a new career. It actively seeks a union with a masculine corpuscle, being urged thereto by the natural impulse to create new forms of matter or energy. One writer goes so far as to use the term, it at once seeks, of its own volition, a union, etc. This detachment and uniting form the basis of the greater part of the activities of the chemical world. When the feminine corpuscle unites with the masculine corpuscle, a certain process is begun. The feminine particles vibrate rapidly under the influence of the masculine energy and circle rapidly around the latter. The result is the birth of a new atom. This new atom is really composed of a union of the masculine and feminine electrons or corpuscles, but when the union is formed, the atom is a separate thing having certain properties, but no longer manifesting the property of free electricity. The process of detachment or separation of the feminine electrons is called ionization. These electrons or corpuscles are the most active workers in nature's field. Well, of course they are, they're feminine. I'm just kidding. Sorry. I just had to. It was just funny. All right. So these electrons or corpuscles are the most active workers in nature's field. Arising from their unions or combinations manifest the varied phenomena of light, heat, electricity, magnetism, attraction, repulsion, chemical affinity, and the reverse, and similar phenomenon. And all this arises from the operation of the principle of gender on the plane of energy. The part of masculine principle seems to be that of directing a certain inherent energy toward the feminine principle and thus starting into activity the creative process. But the feminine principle is the one always doing the active creative work, and this is so on all planes. And yet each principle is incapable of operative energy without the assistance of the other. In some of the forms of life, the two principles, life, L-I-F-E, so in some of the forms of life, the two principles are combined in one organism. For that matter, everything in the organic world manifests both genders. Oh, I'm going to read that again. For that matter, everything in the organic world manifests both genders. There is always the masculine present in the feminine form and the feminine form. That's weird. I think maybe they mean and masculine form. The Hermetic teachings include much regarding the operation of the two principles of gender in the production and manifestation of various forms of energy, etc. But we do not deem it expedient to go into detail regarding the same at this point because we are unable to back up the same with scientific proof, for the reason that science is not yet as progressed thus far. But the example we have given you of the phenomenon of the electrons or corpuscles will show you that science is on the right path and will also give you a general idea of the underlying principles. Some leading scientific investigators have announced their belief that in the formation of crystals, there was to be found something that corresponded to sex activity, which is another straw showing the direction the scientific winds are blowing. And each year will bring other facts to corroborate the correctness of the Hermetic principle of gender. It will be found that gender is in constant operation and manifestation in the field of inorganic matter and in the field of energy or force. Electricity is now generally regarded as the something into which all other forms of energy seem to melt or dissolve. The electrical theory of the universe is the latest scientific doctrine and is growing rapidly in popularity and general acceptance. And it thus follows that if we are able to discover in the phenomena of electricity, even at the very root and source of its manifestations, a clear and unmistakable evidence of the presence of gender and its activities, we are justified in asking you to believe that science at last has offered proofs of the existence in all universal phenomena of that great Hermetic principle, the principle of gender. It is not necessary to take up your time with the well-known phenomena of the attraction and repulsion of the atoms, chemical affinity, the loves and hates of the atomic particles, the attraction or cohesion between the molecules of matter. These facts are too well known to need extended comment from us. But have you ever considered that all of these things are manifestations of the gender principle? Can you not see that the phenomena is on all fours with that of the corpuscles or electrons? And more than this, can you not see the reasonableness of the Hermetic teachings, which assert that the very law of gravitation, that strange attraction by reason of which all particles and bodies of matter in the universe tend towards each other, is but another manifestation of the principle of gender, which operates in the direction of attracting the masculine to the feminine energies and vice versa? We cannot offer you scientific proof of this at the time, but examine the phenomena in the light of the Hermetic teachings on the subject, and you will see if you have not a better working hypothesis than any offered by physical science. Submit all physical phenomena to the test, and you will discern the principle of gender ever in evidence. Let us now pass on to a consideration of the operation of the principle on the mental plane. Many interesting features are there awaiting examination. All right, I stopped at exactly 42 minutes and 42 seconds. Woo, 42. I saw an amazing apartment on 42nd Street in New York on Craigslist. I love how everything that happens the next day, something happens with that same word or that same number. And it's been happening more and more and more. I'll hear a word I haven't heard in 20 years, and all of a sudden I'll hear it 3 different times in a day. And it's like, what the heck? Or I haven't heard a song for that long since I was a kid, and all of a sudden that song's in every movie, every TV show. Someone will walk by whistling it, or be on the radio. It's crazy. There is a law of cause and effect, but I don't know if that's it, if that's the law. Maybe it's the law of like attracts like, also opposites attract, but that wouldn't be in this case what that is. But I know there's a universal law that proves that this is not extraordinary, it's ordinary, right? Oh, it just seems like magic. It's weird. Oh my God. I didn't get to do my laundry for 2 days because we didn't have water, and now I have water again. In the afternoon, we finally got water, but I haven't done the laundry yet because I was going to do it in the morning. It's like the most annoying thing ever. You go to do laundry and no water. Like for 6 hours or 8 hours. It's like, man. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's all she wrote for tonight. This is a lot of information, a lot to consider and think about. So, there you go. Law of cause and effect and the law of gender. It feels good to hear it explained from 108 years ago, does it not? It just seems so simple and obvious, like the people in the world knew this stuff back then. And why are people so apt to not believe that gender is different than sex now? It's weird. It's like, it really feels like a lot of people have just been dumbed down, or they just believe what the politicians, who are also dumbed down, say. It's kind of weird, right? I really believe that the computers and tablets and cell phones have warped our brains. And I feel like we're all too dependent on technology, even though I recognize I am using technology to record this show and get it out to you guys. My son and I have been talking about it lately. I think it's true. I would love to have several hours a day where I just do nothing but pet a cat, walk in a field, fly a kite, things that have nothing to do with electronics. Anyway, well, that's it, guys. I'm gonna take the rest of the evening off. I've got to sew my son's pants. He has a little hole in his pocket, but it looks not professional enough. So he'll show up tomorrow, and maybe they'll issue him a uniform, or maybe during the training he doesn't. But it's pretty cool. This guy bought a restaurant in the middle of this pandemic, and he already has another restaurant, so he's doing really well for himself. It's pretty cool. I'm excited about it. Okay, and that's another thing. The name of the restaurant is Republic, and today, an hour before my son was told, all right, come on in for training, you're gonna get the job. He right an hour before that, I saw an advertisement for a restaurant in LA that said Republic. The same thing. I mean, I'm in Ecuador. It's pronounced the same, Republic, or Republica probably, but it's the same word. So strange, right? You don't hear the word Republic every day. I mean, unless you look at the California flag every day, which says the California Republic. But anyway, that's it. I wanted to say thank you to those of you who listen every day. I can't have a good show without all of you listening, right? Takes two to tango. It's just me and you, night after night. So thank you for your continued faith and support in me and my abilities and my show. And also thank you to those of you who are telling people on Facebook in your groups. Some of these groups have millions of people. And I've tried to say, hey guys, listen to my free show. And I get kicked out of the group. So if you're part of any of these amazing spiritual groups, I mean, I could stay as long as I don't tell anyone about my show. I don't want to hide my light under a bushel, and I shouldn't have to. I want people to know about the show. So if you're part of any of these groups on Facebook, please just one quick little blurb or mention, hey guys, I found a cool podcast, Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast, anchor.fm/metaphysical. Or you could tweet it to your followers on Twitter, or you could tell people on Instagram, or also Tumblr, Reddit, anywhere you feel like it. Thank you so much for those of you who have done this. I see a difference in the numbers. They are going up, up, up. Thank you guys so much for helping me out with this, because I don't have any money for marketing. I have my last paycheck in 3 weeks, and I get paid 1 penny every time you hear the one ad I play. It's a 2-hour show with a 2-minute ad, So it is what it is, and I'm trying to make a living through my passion, and that's why all of you are connecting with me, because I'm connecting with my passion, and I'm helping you in turn, hopefully, to connect to your spirituality and your passions as well. So, that's it. It's all she wrote, guys. I will be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. But until then, I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.